very small, and it's quite impressive just thinking about the huge power it has, just this little teeny thing to stand and all the frontiers. It's quite impressive.
My first perception in the world was moving out from my country because of the conflict.
We moved to Hungary because they wanted to take my father to war, but I didn't use this determination of like forced migration. It was a normal thing back then.
I'm a refugee. I was born in 1994, and in 1999, me and my family were forced to move from our house in the north of Mitrovica.
My father was working for the police. He was a military policeman, and he quit his job before the war. But when the mobilization started, he is Hungarian. I'm also Hungarian. We are a minority in Serbia. So this nationalistic politics were also like trying to get as many minorities to the war to fight for the Serbian war. He said it's not his war, but anyway, he wouldn't fight for any of the wars. He quit his job because he changed his mind. After a while, when he got fed up, like trying to escape every time when they were coming to pick him up, he went to Hungary, and he was there for 6 months. We were in Serbia, my mom and my grandparents, and it was quite hard. What could I say about the situation in that time? In Novi Sad there was no war, but we could feel the war. People were going to fight to Croatia and coming back like with machine guns walking in the city, and they were not really like happy about the minorities living there, so we were not speaking Hungarian really loud in the city, in the public transport, like whispering and stuff. And we moved to Hungary, and we were together with my father, and it was like a better situation because we weren't separated, but then my grandparents stayed here, so it was like, again, somebody was missing, Yeah, and then I went to school there, like I finished my first grade of elementary school in Hungary, and after 1 year we came back in the middle of the war.
During the war in Yugoslavia, thousands and thousands of people left the country, goes to Europe, America, Australia, and after the war, a lot of people from the specific areas, for example, Serbs from Croatia or Croatians from Bosnia, they move to the Croatia or Bosnia. But for example, at that time, that was in 1995, at the end of the war, Belgrade, the capital of Serbia, was closed. So the refugees was not welcome in the capital. They moved to the other towns, other areas of Serbia. So it was like the border inside of the border. And after that, few years after that, we have war in Kosovo and bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999. So we have another wave of refugees.
In that time I was 4, and when we moved in the first night, we were in the south of Mitrovica, and then we saw our house being burned. It was one of the saddest moments of our lives, but we were lucky enough to not to lose anyone in the war. So I guess only material thinks that it's okay. Yeah, after that we were forced to move from our city to the Albanian border. And when we were super close to Albanian border, it's a city called Jakova. The whole line of the people were stopped, and we were asked, like all the men were asked to step forward. On the other side, all the family, the rest were looking at what was happening. So the Serbian paramilitary was there and asking tasks from the men to do some stuff, and if they didn't finish those tasks or they didn't achieve to do it, they would kill them. And my dad was one of those people, and he was asked to turn on this very old tractor, which even in that time it wasn't so common to be there anymore. But even though he didn't know how to do it, he just tried, and once he got it started to move, they said, okay, take your family and leave. And yeah, in that moment they took all of our documents, they put them all in one place, so we were practically not existing anymore because we had no IDs, no passports, nothing.
I come from Kosovo, and I was just a refugee in '99 war between Kosovo and Serbia, and I had also the chance to meet as a child, to meet with the peace action, because we were in a camp, and there was also some help that they give to us, and this is a great experience, and maybe in avoiding the trauma that somebody can take from those hard times.
Movement started in 1993. I was volunteer in a refugee camp in Croatia. I went further, I went to Bosnia, and in 1999 I started with other people who were involved in the Croatian organization, Sunskret, to start an organization in Macedonia.
I have some photographs as a foreigner in the camp that we were, so there were also a lot of NGOs, a lot of photographers, and they came to us and do some photos that we still have in our homes, and it's very interesting for me to see those photos, that how it was the place there, how I could feel as a child, because I don't remember it all, but yeah, mostly I do. But yeah, it's the photos are maybe the one of the things that make me remember that time that I was there.
We moved into the Albanian border, where we stayed for a month in refugee camps, and we got like basic stuff for hygiene and food. And after that, I guess the Albanian government decided that the local people should take families if they want, and we moved with an Albanian family there for 3 months. And it was a good time because we felt that we actually are not alone, and we had we received a lot of respect and love from the Albanian family where we live. It was like we belonged to that community. And after NATO bombarded, we heard that Kosovo is liberated and we can move back. But once we did, actually we had no home anymore because we couldn't return to the north. And even today, 18 years later, we live in a country which is independent, we have a flag. We can wave that flag and we say that we are free, but in a way we're not. Once we were forced to move, but today we are forced to stay inside Kosovo.
Why here in La Junquera? You've seen it, La Junquera is such a special place. What do we have? Yeah, we have petrol stations, shopping malls, prostitution, yeah? That means we are in the border. What is interesting for us is the border as a historical subject. Because here in La Junquera was the main way for those exiles in '39. And this very place, this very street where we are located right now, it was one of the ancient roads that communicate France and Spain. How many exiles took this path to France in February '39? Almost 500,000 people, we summarized, but half of them, we say, they took this way, La Junquera al Partús.
Bé, soc d'un poble petitet, molt prop de per aquí, de la província mateixa de Girona, però de sota el Pirineu. I la veritat és que els meus records de la guerra, com podeu suposar, són absolutament nuls. I els records familiars, degut al patiment del meu pare, que es va veure estroncada de la seva joventut per una guerra terrible en la qual va participar a la batalla de l'Ebre, degut al patiment de tot plegat i degut a les grandíssimes ganes de pau que hi havia a casa, de la guerra se'n parlava poc. Però per l'experiència que tinguin els pobles petits va passar més, potser, aquest cas, que no pas el cas de posar-se molt a favor, diguéssim, d'un o d'un altre cantó. Era més una cosa de dir, per favor, prou, que no hi hagi més guerres.
What we know as la retirada or the Spanish Republican exile, we are talking about more or less 500,000 people, which ran from Francoist occupation in Catalonia by the end of January and the beginning of February '39. So all those people, once they get into French territory, they were put into improvised concentration camps in the beaches in North Catalonia, such as Argelès, such as San Ciprián, such as Albarcarès. Was the very first destination of all those people. But the conditions to stay there in the camps were really, really bad, and that's why most of these people choose to go back. Probably 300,000 of these people decided to go back instead, of course, the other choice that was staying at the camps.
The first times were terrible because nothing is prepared to keep them, and in some cases with a deep hostility for part of the French authorities and even from some parts of the civilian society. In other cases, some people try to help. The things changes because, for instance, during the Nazi occupation, lots of Spanish refugees joined the French resistance and helped to the French people to fight against Nazis. If you take a look on what is happening nowadays in the world, if you take a look on how refugees from Syria are running away from their country, running away from a civil war, with many international connections, such as the Spanish Civil War at the time, and arriving to
20th century democratical and modern countries and not finding, of course, the shelter they were searching for, such as those Republicans getting into France in February 39, a country known for being the paradigm of Republican democracy, and not finding, of course, the treatment that they expected. So, unfortunately, there are many connections.
Last year, a lot of people were trying to cross the borders to Europe through Domeni. When these people left, and they left without their will, they left in hurry, the Greek police removed them, like in a few hours. When these people left in June of 2016, they left behind a lot of things, clothes, blankets, items. I was there that day, the day they left, and I was impressed by the number of the toys the kids left behind. So I decided to collect these toys, to collect the kids' item, in order to preserve them for the future.
I start my traveling from Iran, and I came to Turkey illegally through the mountains, and as well as by feet, by car. And I come to Turkey. Then I was there about 2 months. Then I traveled to Greece.
For my family, they don't want to go out from Syria because they used to be there, and they are now old, so they not good for this. They will not have anything here. So there is danger there, yes, but they don't want to go out.
The path was really dangerous, and there were a lot of dangerous stuff happened to the people. Some people got injured, some people get arrested from kinds of policies on the road, in the way. In Macedonia, in Komanovo, it was like some local volunteers tried to help us. There were some problems, but it was in Sinan Basha Mosque, and it was everything like okay.
Welcome, this is the last station. The border 500 meters. You have free food there, you have some clothes. Shway. Adult 500 meter. Akelumai here, 500 meter.
So it's important for them to see the trip that they have taken and what obstacles and what challenges and what violations they faced during this trip. And also to remember, not to remember, but to remind people that the situation is still ongoing. It didn't stop as when the Balkan route closed. So because things are still happening, we have people stranded in all of these countries. We have people deprived of their freedoms. We have people still going still en route towards Europe. So this should not be forgotten, and these people should be assisted. When we talk about the Balkan region, we cannot not mention the Balkan route and the volunteers that are supporting the humanitarian crisis these days. So, additional to something that is called Refugee Fund, in SCI we established something else called Emergency Fund. So in this kind of work on the field, sometimes we cannot prevent some situations that can occur.
My job is to be in one of the camps in the Croatian border, next to the Croatian border, and what we are doing mostly there is way different than the field work of independent volunteers, because this is like a organized volunteering within the camp, working with the governmental institutions, and it's way more different than the field work, because I was for some time I was included in one group in northern part of Serbia, in the city called Subotica, and it's way more non-organized, but it has way more impact on the people, because you're working directly with people, providing them direct aid.
So he told me the story, and I'm like, come on, I mean, how did you survive, And he said, they helped me and so on. And I said, I wasn't skeptic, but, I said, can you show me? So he lifted up his T-shirt and asked him if may I take a picture. I said yes. So here it is. And so he showed me his family. And I said, after that, he just left with his family. He recovered in 3 months, and after 3 more months, they arrived to Serbia. And so I asked them, do you need anything? And I said, we have some food. I said, you have water? Yes, we have some water. I said, I said, I see some little kids. Do you want some chocolate for the kids? Because I have my car. Yeah, it's good. So I went to the car. So I went back, and they were just happy to say goodbye. And so we said goodbye, and he turns around and says to me, you know what? He said, you're the first person to ask me how I'm doing after 6 months.
Yeah.
And it just blew me away, like, wow. I didn't do anything, just asking, how are you doing? and for him, it was like a very special day, because after 6 months, somebody asked him, how are you doing?
Working with humanitarian organizations was a challenge for me, because at the beginning I had no idea at all about what being a refugee means. It made me aware about the reality of our region in Middle East. There are facts who were hidden. Facts that, for example, when I was in Syria as a tourist, I totally ignored. I could not imagine that they might exist. But now, when I see common and normal people who came here, who escaped from the war, and I meet them and I talk to them in another context, so it made my vision about the Middle East completely different. The jobs that we are doing here are especially aimed to facilitate the integration of the refugees in the new society, to make them meet the local people and create links, create friendships, create job opportunities for them.
Welcoming refugees has just started. Maybe the political and like the social awareness is not there anymore, but just now refugees are arriving in local communities, and now like they need to be integrated, and they need to integrate like with the local communities, and so like now many refugees are just in front of the position that they have to start a new life, and for us it is just important like to share and to know the stories.
These people are coming from far away, we don't know too much about them, but the majority have a very dark past, a very, very shallow, life of many troubles and indignity and discomfort, you name it, I mean, a lot of things. And so this trauma, people are coming here, and so what can we offer them? So that's the question. The way that people react, that's what they got a picture of Europe.
Attività di vario genere, da attività ludiche ad attività teatrali e mostre fotografiche non solo, abbiamo voluto spiegare quello che è per noi la migrazione. Per noi si intende per tutte le persone che attraversano questo posto, la città dell'utopia, siano persone migranti o siano persone italiane che svolgono attività all'interno di queste mura, e abbiamo voluto raccontare una faccia diversa delle migrazioni, la faccia che viviamo noi quotidianamente delle migrazioni.
I think like the history of forced migration in Europe is not really aware. It's like not really known by many people now, even when they talk about refugees and about migration nowadays. So it is good to make the connections and to raise the awareness, because there were many similarities between the different movements, and so I'm trying to compare and to see how to connect like the feelings and the stories of people.